BoxersandBrawlers.com. Here at Castillo's Gym, deep in the South Side, with special guest Anthony Rodriguez. And today we're interviewing Mantequilla Adam Lopez. How do you feel, buddy?
I feel pretty good.
What do you know about your fight coming up here in Cali?
It's going to be my homecoming in California. You know, a lot of people know that I'm from California, born and raised in California, and it's my first time fighting as a professional there. I'm fighting a guy, Miguel Tamayo. He's 16 and 12 with 14 knockouts. He's got a lot of experience, over 30 fights.
He's a rugged journeyman.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you know about this Tamayo kid?
He's a good gatekeeper. He's like one of those guys that use the barometer. He's been in there with the likes of Gary Russell and recently versus Diego De La Hoya, and you know they took care of business, but they had to work at it. You know they had to chop away at that wood before that tree fell down. So he's a perfect test right now, I think, for Adam. So it's gonna be a good fight, and I think Adam's just gonna do what he does and shine.
And those are big names that this guy's getting in with. Gary Russell's now, he's a champion now. Diego De La Hoya, he's being groomed to be the second coming of Oscar De La Hoya, He's definitely a journeyman. How do you feel about going on the road now? Your last fight was in Minnesota, now you're in LA. How do you feel about taking your show on the road now?
I mean, it feels good to get on the road and, experience things. And as a professional, you don't want to always just fight in Texas the whole time. I mean, sure, you get a good fan base, but you don't really get to experience anything. But, as far as fighting in California, it's not really going on the road because
it's your backyard.
It's my backyard, basically.
Now, you're taking your good friend, A-Rod, with you. So how do you feel about that, man?
It's all good. I mean, what the feel I get from GH3 Promotions, they're a new promotion, and they got the luxury if they're not caught up in the Golden Boy, Top Rank, Al Heyman kind of political deal. So I think it's building up to something where they're setting him up for something later on down the road. And the good thing about them, he's fighting in other states, but the thing is he's getting a lot of TV time. His first time was on Showtime. Second time he was close to getting on CBS, but one of the fights went too long. He was a swing bout, and this one's going to open up a ESPN card. So, and there's already talks about another CBS card in the future. But I mean, not looking past this guy. But I think it's all leading up to something, and that's what GH3 is really good at, from what I see so far. Is that this is his third fight in 3 months, and 2 of those are going to be on TV.
Let me ask you about something. When you first started out, you started out with Ronnie Shields up in Houston, and you were winning your fights. But in the last 3 fights, maybe, we've seen a noticeable difference. You're knocking guys out. You're hurting them. You're taking everything they give you. What's going on? What is going on in your camp? What are you doing different?
I think it's just that I grew up. I mean, I was 21 when I turned pro. And
so when you say you grew up, you're growing into your body, or mentally you're taking your training seriously?
It's all together. You're just growing up because, I started out at 115 and I was fighting guys just bigger, fighting guys who come down to fight at 122, and I had to go up from 15 to fight at 22, and I'm not going to have no power taking a bigger guy out, and I'm naturally a 118 fighter. But I'm growing into my body, and I'm just physically getting ready there. And then mentally, I've been through a lot. I've had long layoffs. It's hard to get fights. It's kind of also a frustration that you're just kind of sick and tired of everything. And now that I finally have everything going for me, I'm going to take full advantage. I'm going to run away with it.
Everything is rolling in your direction for sure. Anthony, what do you see in his training? You have a closer eye on him than most of the public and the media. What do you see him doing different in his training camp?
Well, first off, I look at the base, and boxing is all about levels. And when you look at fighters, you got to give them the eye test. And what I see from him, he's the next level fighter. You got some good journeyman fighters, you got some good club fighters, you got a lot of good young up and coming guys.
There's a lot of good fighters here in San Antonio, up and coming. But it won't be long before, per se, the cream rises, right?
And that's why I mean next level. No knocking anybody if they can't get to the next level. That's fine. You can be a good club fighter. You can be a good local draw and make a name for yourself that way. But when I see Adam, he's got that amateur pedigree. He's got that speed, that power, that style. He can adapt to different things, and I think it's all coming together now, especially with him being so active and him having also a good relationship with his strength and conditioning guy, William Ramon. You know what I mean? So the body feels good, the body's active, he can just focus on training because GH3 is giving him fights every month. So I think it's just a perfect situation a young fighter dreams of being in, and on top of that, he gets TV time.
Let's talk about that strength and conditioning. With a lot of these fighters coming in and they're not making weight, they're getting fined. How do you feel right before you get on the scale? I mean, are you comfortable in that weight?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable at that weight. You know, I make the weight fairly easy. I mean, it's hard because I'm dropping.
I mean, it's a struggle.
It's always a struggle, but I mean, I'm comfortable at that weight, and you know, I feel my strongest at 122 pounds.
Here recently, in some of the other shows, they've had to cancel fights. They've had to pay a fighter X amount of dollars because they didn't make weight per pound. Do you see yourself at 122 for a while?
You know, I see myself at 122 for right now, and eventually I'm going to move up to 26. But you know, you're not going to see me coming in 2 pounds overweight and having to pay guys and losing weight. No, I'm not like that. I'm more professional. I make, when the weight is contracted to make 122 pounds, I make 122 pounds.
Adam is now one of the premier fighters, up and coming prospects here in this area. And like you said, you're originally from California. Would you like to maybe monopolize San Antonio per se? Would you like to one day take over the fighters in this area? I mean, not to name any other fighters, but there's a lot of featherweights and 122s and whatnot. How do you feel about making some of those fights?
I mean, I want to have some of the best fights here. If some of the guys can make 126 pounds, come down in weight to fight me, then okay, that's fine, that's great, let's make it happen. But I mean, I don't really have to go out there and look for them. I mean, they have to come to me.
Anthony, what do you see in the future for Adam Mantequilla?
Well, it looks bright. I mean, I don't want to be one of those guys that counts chickens before they hatch. I mean, he's taking care of business, and he's got some business to take care of Friday. But going back to your recent question, I think with San Antonio, we have the market, we have the cheap venues. You know, it's ideal for promoters to come down here. But I think we just need those next level fighters. And I think with Adam's situation, a lot of the fighters that are coming up, they're all about the same age, the same level. So a lot of those matches would be premature. I mean, boxing helps boxing. So he's coming up, and the casual fan doesn't really pay attention to what label is putting on what. But with Adam coming up, it's only going to help everybody else out in the long run, and vice versa. But as far as his future, it's looking good, man. I mean, there's already kind of a hot ticket in California because he's out there and he's got roots over there, but he's also got a lot of roots over here, and people are going to just, the anticipation's building for him to fight here already. Kind of like with Triple G, it was an experiment. They took him out there to California. He's going out to California now. He's probably going to come back to San Antonio. Same thing with Adam. Adam's, he's making a lot of noise.
I hear recently you're making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I mean, in the last 2-3 fights, everybody's like, wow, I mean, what happened to Adam?
Second round knockout.
You're not taking any of that special juice, are you? We're here at Castillo's Boxing Gym, and we want to thank Castillo's for having BoxersandBrawlers.com here. We want to thank Adam Mantequilla Lopez, who'll be fighting on ESPN Friday Night Fights. Make sure y'all tune in. Special guest, our good Boxers and Brawlers buddy, A-Rod.
Hey.
Thanks a lot, A-Rod.
Well, thanks.
Till next time, see you then.